Hey everybody, Brian from Bear Bull Traders here. It is the weekend, October 26th. Hope everyone's having a good weekend. This, of course, is the weekend video. We'll go over what happened last week in the markets, and then we'll take a look ahead. We got a lot of stuff coming up this week. We've got the rate cut decision, which is almost a done deal, and of course, the Fed Powell will be speaking, and we've got about a third of the companies reporting this week, so it's going to be a big earnings week as well. So let's get down to it. And starting out with our quick week in review, October 20th, market indexes, they ended another week on a positive note here. We did get the CPI data despite the government shutdown, got released on Friday for September, came in at 3%, which was slightly lower than expected, but that kept optimism up for a couple of Fed rate cuts going into the end of the year here. Earnings generally have also been pretty good, which is numbers we've gotten so far. They also helped support this week's rally. So there you can see the Dow, QSPY, and IWM all up 2% or better. Technology was the big leader, and energy was a close second. And staples and utilities, your safety sectors were down on the week. 2-year and 10-year treasuries, they're kind of flat, really didn't do much. The US dollar up pretty well on the week, and Bitcoin up significantly this week. We're trading around 116 and change there, and last week we went out around 1075, so big move, 10% move on Bitcoin for the week there. So that was your week in review. And this is where I take a pause, take a look at some of the books that I have available on Amazon. How to Swing Trade and Profiting as an Active Trader, a couple of swing trade and position trading books there that have been on for a while and quite popular. How to Trade Options. I do trade options in the day trading room as well as for swing trading. So if you want to check that out, that's my latest book. Links are in the description below for those books. Appreciate it if you would check them out. Okay, so let's go through some of the indexes and the treasury yields. You can see here we've been on a steady decrease, waiting for these rate cuts to take effect or get kicked in, and you're going to see some probably rate cut this week by Fed Powell. That's pretty much almost 100% guaranteed. If anything, if ever there was anything that was almost a for sure, it would be that. So we'll see, and more his comments will be in sort of instructive after. You can see here again, 10 years been leaking lower as well as the economy sort of slows down a little bit. And yeah, so there's your Dow breaking out to an all-time high on Friday. Really pulled back a little bit, but trend is your friend, and it's still going up. And there's the weekly, still trending up on the weekly. A lot of these indexes next week are going to be pretty dependent on what we hear from some of the big names that are going to be reporting and getting to that. So you can see here the Qs really popped up on Friday. Big gap up. Of course, we had earnings out from Intel that helped that as well. Good numbers, and yeah, tech sector just rocked it. And there's your weekly. Again, we're getting a little bit extended from these moving averages, but we'll see if we can keep the party going. SPY, same sort of story there. Gapped up on Friday, strong day. And there we are on the weekly. Again, we're just holding this moving average here, this 9 EMA, and it just continues to act as support. IWM, wow, it's really close to its all-time high as well. I just pulled back there on Friday, so it didn't close the day out on a high. And there's your weekly. Came down, supported at the 9 EMA, and off we went again. So there's your fear index, the VIX, again back down in the 16s after this spike up on that Friday that happened a few weeks ago. And the dollar starting to show some strength here as it's kind of curling up here. It's breaking out of this this trading range, and that's it for the dollar. And Bitcoin. Bitcoin is trading around 113.6 right now, so it's looking like it's found some support here around 105 and trending higher. Okay, so looking at some active stocks that I've got on, this is a little tidbit for some of the people out there that trade Canadian stocks. CNVI. This is a company that made a submitment to the FDA. Unfortunately, they're not working right now, but it's a medical device company, and I won't go into a lot of details, but I'm into this around in the low 50s. And so full disclosure, I already have some position here, and I am just waiting for the FDA to get back to work and look at their proposal, because I think they're probably going to get approval for this product. That's just a combination of two products that's already approved for use. So I can't see why they wouldn't approve this one. It's sort of a novel technology, combining existing technologies, and I think that it's just a matter of going to have to just wait this one out. But this is a little tidbit for some of you who like to trade, and it is a penny stock, by the way. You can see here it's trading around 60 cents. So you don't have to jump into it because there's no hurry for that. But that's a little bonus for some of our Canadian friends and Canadian traders. FMS, this is another one, Canadian stock I'm in, and it's moving up nicely to this week. GDX, I got back into GDX on this candle. I said I was watching it for re-entry, and I thought that was a good candle to re-enter in. So we'll see. As long as we hold above this sort of area here, I'll be sticking with that one. Hive was another one that was on my watch list last week. Took this one just around this level here, and we got a nice bump, and it looks like we're probably getting another bump on Monday. So this was again from last week's watch list, just waiting for an entry around this $5 mark here. And moving on, LABU, I've been in this for quite a while. I've been mentioning this on my active. I actually got rid of the rest of it, and because it's kind of looking a little toppy there, and I only had a bit left. Silver, same story as gold. Took a bit of an entry here, and again, as long as we sort of hold above those lows, I'm good for that. And uranium, another one that was on my watch list for last week, really sold off here, and got a bit of a bounce here on the Wednesday, like that candle, and so I'm long that as well, back long that as well. So those are the stocks that I'm in right now, or a few of them anyway. Okay, so for potentials next week, kind of slim, because just because we got so much going on that can move the market. We've got all the conferences, all the meetings that are going on with the world leaders in Asia. We've got Fed Powell on Wednesday, and we've got a whole lot of influential earnings that are coming up this week. So I'm keeping it kind of light here in terms of potentials for this week. But Apple was one I had on my watch list last week. I like this candle here. Unfortunately, it really gapped up here on Monday, and I was looking at it for a long, but I ended up, I think, day trading it, but didn't take it as a swing just because it had already gapped up so much there. Could have taken it actually on this pullback, because it actually came back and checked where it broke out from, but kind of watch this one. It looks like this 265 level is definitely resistance when we get above that, and again, it's going to depend on a lot of the other what the reports come out this week. And in terms of the Mag 7, Netflix really sold off here this is the weekly, really sold off, and it's coming down to an area where there should be some support here around 103.60, 103.50. Could be an interesting area to sell some, maybe do an options trade, sell some puts, and then maybe buy some puts lower just to cover yourself. We'll be looking at that next week in terms of what we can get for premiums on that. But should be some significant support here. If not, it's gonna drop down under 1,000 there, and I can't see it breaking 1,000. But never say never. And Tesla again really sold off on these numbers, and then on Thursday morning, but then it came ripping back here. The Tesla brigade came in, bought it back up, and then we sold off on Friday. But again, just shows we're very range bound here, and those are your ranges, sort of 415 to 450, I should say. So yeah, you could do some options trading in that range even, because it seems like some support and resistance levels are pretty established. So those are the potentials I'm looking at this week. I'm pretty, like I said, keeping it pretty thin for the week, and we'll just see how things pan out. Okay, so let's wrap things up for the coming week here, October 27th, going into the last week of October. You can see there's the Dow, Q, SPY, and IWM. All the areas were closed and support and resistance levels. We do have some numbers coming out this week, but the big one will be the FOMC Fed rate decision, and of course the Powell conference at 2:30. That's going to be a big one. A lot of these numbers may not come out because of the government shutdown, like jobless claims, anything that relies on government for producing those numbers. And PCE, this is the favored price index for September. That's the favored Fed watch for inflation. We'll see if that comes out as well. And as far as earnings go, as mentioned earlier, it's big news, big earnings release this week. About a third of the companies reporting, and you can see here we've got some pretty tech-heavy companies reporting here on Thursday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And we will probably be covering some of those in the aftermarket show. So if you want to check that out, join us live on YouTube as well. And for sort of a high level view for next week, I think the market is likely to stay elevated in the near term, especially if inflation seems to remain tame and the rate cut narrative holds and earnings keep up there. And we're going to find out a lot more about earnings this week. There's certainly dip buyers in there supporting the markets. It's just a common theme. We got to watch for any announcements that may sound like companies are pulling back on AI capital spending. I'm not sure if we're going to hear any of that, but that's a news that could really sort of throw a wrench into this market here. And President Trump, he's headed to Asia for some high-level meetings with Xi and some other country leaders. Outcomes of those meetings could also lead to some market volatility as well. So I think it's going to be a pretty instructive week, no matter how you cut it here. So that's it, everybody. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you Monday morning, hopefully in our trading room and joining us in our members room or live on YouTube. We'll hopefully see you there. Bye for now.